Welcome to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. I'm your host, Molly Watts. If you want to change your drinking habits and create a peaceful relationship with alcohol, you're in the right place. This podcast explores the strategies I use to overcome a lifetime of family alcohol abuse, more than 30 years of anxiety and worry about my own drinking, and what felt like an unbreakable daily drinking habit. Becoming an alcohol minimalist means removing excess alcohol from your life so it doesn't remove you from life. It means being able to take alcohol or leave it without feeling deprived. It means to live peacefully, being able to enjoy a glass of wine without feeling guilty and without needing to finish the bottle. With science on our side, we'll shatter your past patterns and eliminate your excuses. Changing your relationship with alcohol is possible. I'm here to help you do it. Let's start now. Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. With me, your host, Molly Watts, coming to you from, it is a salubrious Oregon. Have you ever heard of the word salubrious? I certainly had not, but I love to look up little synonyms for words that I'm thinking about the Oregon weather, and salubrious is actually perfect for this last week. Salubrious means health-giving or healthy. And the example that they used in the online definition of salubrious was salubrious weather. And that is for sure what we have had. We have had health-giving weather around here in Oregon because it has been perfect for going outside. Very little rain, very moderate temperatures. Today it's a little bit cloudy as we get started, but I can't complain about April here in Oregon this year. It has been very salubrious. Welcome to the podcast if you're new around here, and welcome back if you're not. This is the very last episode in April, and April is Alcohol Awareness Month. And as I shared at the beginning of the month, this was really something started by the recovery industry decades ago. And while we are not a recovery podcast, I think it's important for us all to understand and become more aware of alcohol and its harms and opportunities in terms of things that we might choose to use to help us change our relationship with alcohol. In this month, I've had conversations with Ben Kramer about psilocybin, with Katie Lane about naltrexone, and I've shared some of my own thoughts around relationships or changing your relationship with alcohol. And today, in this final episode of Alcohol Awareness Month, I thought that there was no better way to close it out than by getting a little more personal with you. And so I'm sharing the top 3 ways that I am a different drinker today. And no, that does not mean that I'm just talking about counting drinks and hitting some low magical number, right? Because obviously the title of this podcast is Alcohol Minimalist, and I talk all about low risk limits, all of that. Obviously, I drink much less today than I used to. That's a no-brainer, right? I'm going to talk about how my thinking and my beliefs around alcohol have completely changed. And it's really about the peace that I feel now, and peace that felt kind of impossible for me, just a few or now several years ago. Before we dive in, just a quick heads up. At the end of this episode, I'm going to be telling you about my brand new mini program, Just One More, that is launching next week on May 6th. And it is designed specifically for those times that used to trip me up, weekends, parties, vacations, that maybe actually, I've got more to talk about that inside the program, but it's about binge drinking and rewiring your binge brain. So stay tuned for that. Let's talk about the top 3 ways that I am a different drinker today. If you had met me 6 or 7 years ago, a Friday night would have looked pretty predictable, right? I would come home, toss my keys down, and before even changing my clothes, I would grab a beer. And that probably would turn into 2, probably 3. And on Fridays and Saturdays, probably 4 and maybe even 5. I don't know. 2s and 3s were pretty typical, not just of the weekends. Those were pretty typical just on every day. And it was automatic, conditioned response that I did not question. And it wasn't even about wanting a drink. It was just what happened. It was mindless. It was just really, truly what my mindset was that I needed to drink to relax and unwind. And the weekends, vacations, parties, those were just permission slips to drink more because that was what they were for, right? That was definitely my mindset. And the biggest shift for me now is awareness. I do not live on autopilot with alcohol anymore. Every decision to drink or not drink is purposeful. It is intentional. It's thought through. I ask myself questions like, why do I want to drink? Is it aligned with how I want to feel tomorrow? Am I trying to avoid something or trying to enhance something here? And here's a key part. I definitely plan ahead, right? You all know, if you've listened, I use what I call a doable drink plan. And it means if I'm going to include alcohol, I definitely decide ahead of time and what I'm going to drink, how much. And a part of it is because I use the time and my best self, the self that aligns with my long-term goals to make those decisions. It's not an emotional in the moment decision anymore. Before I did this work and before I became who I am around alcohol now, I thought that planning like that felt very restrictive and used that for any type of planning, whether you're talking about food or alcohol or exercise. Planning felt like it just made everything kind of less fun, right? Now I know truth. Planning is actually freedom. I want you to hear me on that. Planning is freedom. It protects my future self. It keeps my brain from having to wrestle with willpower. So before I did all this work, before I am who I am today, I was an automatic drinker. Now I am an intentional drinker. I'm a conscious drinker. I'm a mindful drinker. And I did not realize at all before this that I was not thinking about it in those respects. I didn't ever question my drinking. Well, that's not true. I had anxiety around it because it was this weird thing. I had this anxiety around my drinking habits, but at the same time, I didn't question them in the moment, if that makes sense. And that's really, a big, huge shift is just that I no longer allow just every time I'm going to include alcohol in my life, I am completely intentional about it. Number 2 would be that I went from using alcohol as a solution to the things that I felt to alcohol just being an option that is sometimes that I include and sometimes I don't in my life. And let's really hone that in, because I think that one of the areas that definitely tripped me up early and often when I was first starting to work on my relationship with alcohol were things like vacations and parties and celebrations. And specifically vacations. All right, let's talk about those. Vacations used to be one long excuse for me to just drink more. It was like instead of being where I was and the place being and the things that we were doing being the main event, it was like alcohol was the main event. Drinks by the pool, happy hours, umbrella drinks at sunset. And I had a deeply internalized belief that alcohol made vacations better. And that's kind of the way that I rolled. And the thing is that when I now know on this other side of this is that it didn't. Yeah, sure. Okay. Alcohol is something that I enjoy, but I also overdrank in those scenarios so often. I didn't sleep well. I woke up groggy, felt less present. I would miss sunrises. I would
could be irritable with my husband. I can remember spending days or not even being able, I can remember once, I'm thinking of one specific incident where I just had a really bad reaction. I don't even know if I definitely overdrank, but I didn't overdrink to the extent that, I don't remember throwing up, but I was super hungover in the morning. So hungover, like my husband, I'm like begging him to go get me food, couldn't even get out of bed. And I think about that now. And like that was kind of my mindset. Like I said, like that was what we did. Yes, me and yes, him, both of us. We definitely had this goal of going and drinking excessively or not. I don't know. Let's say it wasn't our goal. It's just what we did. And now I know the truth. Alcohol really didn't add anything magical to my vacations. It was always within my ability, my energy, my presence, my relationships that make our experiences what they are when we travel together. And today alcohol's, it's optional, but vacations are about those experiences and not excuses. If I choose to include a drink, it's because in the moment it's what I choose, it's real, it's intentional, and it's just not it's an over drinking experience in that kind of environment would take away from things that I want to do with my life now. The joy of a drink, of the vacation, isn't found in a drink, it's found inside of me, right? So that's just a good example. Vacations, like I said, you can kind of apply that same thing to the way that I view going to parties or celebrations. I used to really truly like talk about Super Bowl Sunday. Like I couldn't imagine going to Super Bowl Sunday and not drinking to excess. It kind of was an excuse, right? To do so. It just, nothing in my life now is worth the pain of over drinking to me. And I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy being a part of the game. I appreciate what's going on at any event that I'm at, a concert, or like I said, a party. I want to be present with all of that. And alcohol doesn't help me do that. Alcohol actually takes me further away from it.
Just a quick break to talk with you more about Sunnyside. Did you know that Sunnyside uses science to help you reach your goals by focusing on 3 scientifically proven superpowers that you have? Number 1, the power of pre-commitment. Each week, you set an intention for the week ahead that includes a tracking goal, a drink goal, and possibly a dry day goal. Number 2, the power of conscious interference. You'll learn the habit of tracking each day as soon as you finish it, which creates a mindful pause before you start the next day. And number 3, positivity. We know that this is a big step that can be tough at times, right? And that's why Sunnyside offers coaching through SMS and email to give you support, advice, and motivation. You can check out a free 15-day trial at www.sunnyside.co/Molly. That's www.sunnyside.co/Molly. Before I did all this work, I used to see alcohol and overdrinking as the agent of fun. And now I realize that alcohol is optional and unnecessary for creating joy, for creating fun in my life. All right, number 3. I will move this or say this is moving from inherited beliefs around alcohol to creating beliefs on purpose. That was the biggest shift from inherited beliefs to purposeful, intentional beliefs, new beliefs. When I look back, my earliest beliefs around alcohol weren't ones that I chose myself. They were beliefs that I absorbed, right? I learned that alcohol was how adults had fun. I watched my parents drink when my dad got home from work. Um, I saw my mother turn to alcohol to try to cope with her emotions.
Later, growing up as the daughter of an alcoholic parent, as an alcoholic mother, another belief crept in, and that was a darker one. And that was that maybe I was destined to struggle that way too. Maybe it was genetic. Maybe drinking was just something that I had an increased desire for because of my genetics. And those beliefs really lived deep in my mind, unexamined, unchallenged for years. And today I understand something very crucial, that beliefs are not facts. They are practiced thoughts, and practiced thoughts can be changed. And that is something that I so appreciate about the work that I've done around alcohol, but really about anything in my life, that beliefs that I have held on to for a really long time. I am much more willing these days to evolve and to question my own thinking. I've spent years intentionally rewriting my story around alcohol. I believe peace now is my true reward, not a great IPA. I believe I can celebrate and be fully present, and I don't need a drink in my hand to help me do that. I believe that my emotions are meant to be felt, to be articulated, to be explored, and that I can handle big negative ones. They don't need to be avoided, or I don't need to try to numb them or buffer them away with alcohol or with overindulging in anything. And I believe fundamentally that I have agency over my choices always. And all of these beliefs are beliefs that I chose with intention, with practice, and with patience as I worked on my relationship with alcohol. I think many of us grow up with a lot of unconscious belief systems. We don't realize how much of what our upbringing was really kind of foundationally rooted what we believe, whether it's about alcohol or anything else. But I think it's worthwhile that we don't just accept our inherited belief system as automatic and allow it to be unconsciously running the show. We want to make sure that we are choosing beliefs that are purposeful, that are supportive, and that are empowering. If you're listening to this and you are feeling like you're stuck, like alcohol has too big a presence in your life, then I really want you to hear me. You are completely capable of change. It isn't too late. You're not behind. You're not a lost cause. You're certainly not broken or diseased, like some of the recovery models will tell you. And you are not destined to struggle forever. Your current relationship with alcohol is not a character flaw. You simply haven't had a framework that is built on neuroscience, and you haven't understood how your brain works, or more importantly, how to work with it instead of against it. And that's really what I try to talk about all the time here on the podcast and in all the work that I do at the Alcohol Minimalist Facebook group, within all of my group coaching programs and my one-on-one coaching, my online courses. I want you to hear that the same brain that practiced your old beliefs is fully capable of learning new ones. And it is possible to become a better thinker. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes self-compassion, but change is absolutely 100% available to you. And it's never about drinking less to prove something to yourself or to someone else. It's about creating a life where drinking feels like a non-issue, where peace is the norm, not the exception. And you don't have to swear off alcohol forever. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to think differently about it. And if you want support specifically for those times that feel trickiest, the weekends, the parties, the vacations, I'd love to invite you to check out my brand new mini program, Just One More. It's called Just One More, Rewiring the Binge Brain, and it launches on May 6th, and it's available for registration right now. It is a 2-week mini program. You get 4 video modules on an online course component. They are dropped on days during those 2-week periods. And then on Saturday, May 17th, we will be having an online Q&A group coaching session with me. And you get all of that for just $29. You can find out all the details at go.mollywatts.com, which I will link in the show notes, but it's go.mollywatts.com. All right, my friends, I hope you have had a fabulous April. I hope you are on to an even better May. If Just One More sounds like something you'd like to check out, I hope you'll go and do it. And until next time, choose peace, my friends.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Take something you learned from this week's episode and put it into action. Changing your drinking habits and creating a peaceful relationship with alcohol is 100% possible. You can stop worrying, stop feeling guilty about overdrinking, and become someone who desires alcohol less. I work with people in 2 different ways, and you can learn about them over at my website. Go to www.mollywatts.com/workwithme or reach out to me directly. Shoot me an email, molly@mollywatts.com. We'll jump on a call and decide what might work best for you. This podcast is really just the beginning of our conversation. Let's keep it going. If there's one thing I know, it's that change is way easier when you stop trying to do it alone.